Hey everyone, it's Holly's from Holly's Hobbies. I'm doing my first video tutorial today on face shaping. I was getting many messages regarding, where's a video tutorial that I can watch on it just to see the step-by-step, and I totally get it. I actually taught myself how to crochet on YouTube video tutorials, so I love the idea of it, and since there are many different ways that you can do face shaping on amis, I think it's an awesome way that I can kind of show you how I do mine to achieve the same look that I have. One of the reasons why I like face shaping on amis is you can see that it creates a more definition in the face. It's not just a flat face with two eyes, a nose, and a mouth. It gives the ridges for the cheeks, it gives the indents for the nose, the mouth. It adds more character, I think. So I really like doing that as opposed to just having a plain face. I just like the look of it. You guys can always opt out of it, but many of my patterns do call for it, and this is just one of the ways that I do it. So I'll show you how I go about doing this. Now, in my patterns, you will see that I do have step-by-step pictures of where to input the yarn, where to draw it out. You don't necessarily need to do it in that order. I have that way just to kind of give people a little bit more structure in what way to pull out the yarn, so they kind of have a step-by-step process they can follow. So how I'm drawing the yarn out around the eyes and what order I do it in may not necessarily match the pattern that you guys are doing right now, but it's pretty much the same thing. If you do go out of order, it's really not going to change the look of the face. The only time that it might alter it is if you are trying to do a side smile and you only have the yarn coming out of the one side as opposed to both cheeks. But other than that, you guys can play with it. That's what I love about face shaping. There is no set or defined way of doing it, and you can achieve so many different looks just by playing around where you put the indents and everything. So one of the main ways that I do it is I use the tail from the nose. I usually say in my patterns to leave at least 14-15 inches of tail of the nose, so you can use that for the face shaping. As long as the tail or the yarn itself matches the color of the face that you'll be doing the face shaping into, it doesn't matter. If you're using a different colored nose, you can get a brand new strand of yarn. It's not a big deal. You can also, if your head isn't worked seamlessly into the body, you can use the tail of the head and work up through the bottom of the neck. Now, this doll in particular, and most of the dolls that I do, will have a hair cap. So I can pull up any tails that I'm going to do at the back of the head because it's all going to be covered. Another way to when you're going to be fastening off, you can pull it out through the bottom here and try and hide it that way, but we'll get to that there. So what I've started here is I've already completed the head, I've already had the eyes inputted. Now normally I usually recommend having at least anywhere between 4 to 6 stitches between the eyes. Now looking at it like this, the eyes do look a little bit far apart, and the reason for that is when you do the face shaping and you start to tug on the yarn, it will pull the eyes in together. So you want them spaced out a little bit more than what you want as an end result, because they will be pulled closer in together when you do the face shaping. So depending on the animal, depending on the doll itself, usually you'll have them spaced out about that. And for most of the patterns, the nose will be 1 to 2 rounds below that. So after you've sewn on the nose and it's all secured in place, what I like to do is you go right back in there, and I usually like to start doing it with the eyes. That's usually where I pull up my first bit of yarn. So I usually pull it right in the corner here, pull it through. I got a long tail there. So after you draw it up out of the eye, you're going to go back in about a stitch away from where the yarn is pulled up, right up against the eye, so you can barely even see it. And now if you are starting with the left eye, I always like to work diagonally when you're doing the process, and I think almost all the patterns that I've written, it explains the face shaping this way. It just makes the face, when you're pulling the yarn tight, it just makes the features go more symmetrically. So you're going to push it in there, and then you're going to pull the needle out kind of where you want the right corner of the mouth to be. Usually I do it about 1 or 2 rows below the nose, and then what I also do is I try and center it around where the eye is. It just kind of gives you an easy guideline to go by, and usually when you pull everything, it makes the mouth a good size as well, so you don't have like a giant or a way too small of a mouth. Now, I do start tugging a little bit on it. It doesn't have to be super tight. Once you've done all of your embroidery, you'll pull it tight, and that's when you'll achieve the face. But just to start, just pull it in a little bit there, so you'll see how much yarn you have to work with. Again, you're gonna go in about a stitch away, and then this way we're gonna pull up through the corner of the right eye, front corner there. And if you pull it a little bit, you're gonna already see the little dimple that you'll be working with there. Same thing that you did with the other eye there, just put it in about a stitch away, and then you're gonna go into the other cheek. Try and line up the cheeks on the same round there, so you're not having a little wonky smile, unless you want to. I love making little crooked smiles on some of my Amis here. So that's gonna be about here. Oops. There we go. Now this is where you can start pulling on it a little bit more firmly. You're gonna see the face take a little bit more shape here. So you'll see that the eyes have already started to pull in a little bit closer together. And you'll also see that you're starting to get a little bit more of a cheek forming there. So same thing, go into about a stitch away, and then if you're not getting enough definition from the shaping, just repeat the steps that you just did there. So again, go up to the eye. Oh, I just lost my thing there. So you'll start to see, if you pull it tight there, you'll start to see that it's forming a bit of definition there. And you can repeat those steps again. Same thing, just 1 stitch away. You can even go below the eye as opposed to right up in the corner, just to kind of pull in and give that eye a little bit more definition. Now, after I've done, and I think I've got enough definition on the face, I'm just going to pull up into the back of the head, if you're doing a hair cap, or if you're not doing a hair cap, just a place where it isn't going to be as noticeable when you're tying off, just to kind of make it a little bit more hidden. So as you can see, I've already got each of the corners of the mouth indent there, and I've got an indent in the front of the eye. It's created that little bit of a hump for the nose, just to give the face a little bit more definition. So after that's done, you're just going to tie off at the back of the head. Try and pull it snugly, and you'll see, as I said, you'll get a little bit more face shaping there when you do it that tight. So after that's done, and you've secured the back of the head, this is where I think you get a little bit more definition to it there. I like to take my needle and puff out where the cheeks are. Just pull a bit of the stuffing out. It'll give the face a little bit more shape. It won't necessarily, if you're giving it to a child, it obviously won't hold that shape forever. But it just helps when the doll is all finished. It makes it look a little bit more realistic. So just pull out the stuffing there just to puff it out. And it'll give your cheeks a little bit more definition. It'll give the whole face a little bit more definition. And that way, if there is any stuffing packed into the head in like a wonky way or a funky way, this will kind of even it out. So even just by pulling up the stuffing there, just by puffing it out, you can see that the face itself looks more like a face. You'll have the indents there, which if you're doing the mouth, I always say to try and go into the corner of each of those indents when you're embroidering it. Same thing with the eyes. I usually leave the eyebrows and the eyelashes and everything until after I do the face shaping. Just that way, like I said, when you pull the yarn and the facial features kind of come closer together, you're not going to have eyebrows that are like 1 or 2 stitches apart. This way you'll see the actual shape of the face and where everything should be going. So after that's done, that's when I like to put all the details on there and just embroider everything to kind of finish it off. If you're doing the hair cap or anything on top of the head, you can always do that after, but I like doing the face shaping first, just so I can hide any imperfections, like when I tie this off and hide the tails. I'll know what I have to cover it. I know what I have to cover and what I can cover it with, like the hair cap or ears or anything like that. If you are doing a head with that's not attached to the body, you can always hide. I like to pull the yarn up through the bottom of it, and when I'm doing the face shaping, that way when you attach the head to the body, you're not going to see anything in that way. So there are different ways that you can do it. This is just the basic gist of it, how I do. Each pattern will be different. If you want to do, like as I said, a side smirk smile, like I have on my me doll here, you would just do the face shaping in there and up through each eye, and then just pull it tight. Again, puff out the one cheeks, so you'll get that definition around the face, and it just adds more character to the doll itself. So if you guys have any other questions, definitely feel free to email me at hollyshobbyscrafts@gmail.com, or you can message me on my Facebook page, which is Holly's Hobbies PTBO, and I'll be glad to help you out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care.